Hello and welcome. This is Christian Fint for AVP Tech Canada and AVP Tech International. Today I would like to show you how to connect the Fanvil indoor stations, I will use the i53W here for example, but it works the same with all the other stations, to the Mobotix T26 Door Station. So I will use the i53 mini panel or 7-inch panel, which has a touch screen. It is very fairly priced. I think the Canadian dollar price for it is around 180, 190 Canadian dollars today. And it comes with Wi-Fi included. However, it's only 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so I wouldn't recommend it as the primer way to connect it to a network, except if you fully control a building's Wi-Fi. Okay, so how to start? We will use the T26 SIP server and use the clients in both devices to basically connect them together. So this here is my lab camera. I just resetted it, I auto-configured it, and now we take it from here. So I'll click on the admin menu. I'll go down to the SIP server settings. SIP server needs to be on. After the auto configuration, the one client for the camera itself is already in there. You may change it, however, if you don't like 201. Let's say we call the camera 100 and we make it really difficult password in this case. Let's just use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So that's for the camera. Then we need a second SIP account. And that's for the panel. So the panel we call 101. And same password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's been done. Now we have to adjust the SIP server as well. So we go into SIP client settings. And we now called it 100, and of course with a different password. Let me widen the screen here a little bit so that you'll see everything. So I click set. So now we have the SIP client connected. Now there is no visual indicator if the connection has worked, but we can click on that link here on the top. And you see here there's a message, registration of user 100 is successful, and there's also a client status. So the client status should say ready and should be in green. Okay, on the door station side, on this one here, you go to line settings. Again, completely resetted fresh module. If I go into the settings, because you will see that the time and date is not correct, so we are not in Beijing, we are in Vancouver, no, Edmonton, Calgary here. Here we go. And we switch the 12-hour clock on. The rest can stay as is. And we apply. So now the time is right. The next thing, you go to a line, and we use the SIP1. As you can see here, there are 6 SIP client accounts in there. So we use our 100 username, display name, well, we call it 100. The realm, we could say MX realm from Mobotix, for example. That would be okay. We activate it, we enter the user authentication, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the password. The server name, well, in this case, it is basically just an IP address. I use the same thing for server name and address. Okay, that was stupid of me. So the server name is basically Mobotix T26. And here we're basically entering our IP address. Now the port Mobotix uses is 5061, so make sure you change that. And sometimes I've found that the proxy server should be the same thing, especially if it's the outgoing. So now everything is in there. We click apply. Oh, sorry. We said this is 101. All typical I rushed through the video mistake. Sorry guys. So I click, and then we see here registered. So now we know that both are registered, and we can go back to the camera, and we go back to our menu here. So the next thing we have to do is we have to program the outgoing call settings. So we add a new profile. We would like to call extension 101 with the SIP address 101 and with the SIP proxy of our server. It should be a video call, and we don't need a message, we don't need a PIN code, but we want to switch it to intercom. Now for security purposes, I would always put in 10 minutes hang up just in case the connection isn't correctly interrupted. And yes, if you do want to allow the camera to be controlled, then switch that on. Otherwise, you cannot open doors remotely. And then we click Set. Now we can do the first test call. So I'm basically calling, you know what, I should switch on my camera. Now that my camera is on, you see the Fanvil is here. I initiate the test call. And here comes the call in. So I can answer. And I mute myself right away because otherwise, okay, I get the bad loop. Sorry about that. The demo camera is just over there. But you saw the initial test call worked, so we can move on. After we've done that, we're going back to the admin menu. And from there, under Video Door Station, we go into Bell Behavior and Video Mailbox. So now in here, you see we have our outgoing call profiles, call 101. And we have our main addressee. Oh, I skipped over. No, I didn't skip over. So main addressee. However, if you go further down, you see the call profile would be ring and mailbox. If you don't want the mailbox, just switch it to ring only. And now, very importantly, we have to add a signaling phase. So now we click on the signaling phase, and as you can see here, there's nothing in there. Why is that? Well, first of all, we didn't have one, and the second thing, we have to add it. So we select our outgoing call profile, call 101, with the button Add Selected Devices. So now you see something changed up here in remote stations for the door station. And in our signaling phase, this got added. Now remember, you have to also enable it, highlight it. If you have multiple in there, you can use Control or Shift and left mouse click to enable the whole list. You can also add a second signaling phase, but I'll show you that later on. So now that we've done that and we click Set, now the door station knows if a ring comes in, whom to call. So let's test the theory. So I go over here, I push the bell button, and the call comes in. Now this is a preview what the camera sees. So now I can, again, let me just probably mute here. Okay, and then now we shouldn't have, okay, we still get the loop. Sorry guys. Yeah, with the preview, you can decide if you want to take the call or not, which is also very beneficial in case you do not want to open the door or talk to the people out front. By the way, I completely forgot to mention something very important. It might be, if you have a complete brand new camera, that when you go into the Bell Behavior and Video Mailbox, you will not see all the items I just showed you because the button on the lower right corner might show more, which is a simplified version. Now, in order to program it correctly, however, you have to click on more and then you can see everything. Okay, so please make sure you clicked on more. Now, as said before, what happens if we have multiple stations or we have actually different parties to call? Well, very simple. Let's just create a couple of outgoing call profiles. I don't have that many, but that doesn't matter. I just can, for explanatory purposes, I create a couple. I create them all in the same manner. All the intercom, I allow them 10 minutes. And let's do one more. The max number of call profiles you should be using with Mobotix Door Station is around 20. That would be max, just to let you know. If you have more parties, you would need to use a PBX, for example, like the Epigee QX systems. I used them before, very good systems. But yeah, send me an email or put a comment below, and I'll explain everything about Epigee next time. Okay, so now that we have 3 call profiles, we're going back into the bell behavior and video mailbox. In here, we again have to add them. And now you see that in our signaling phase down here, we have all the 3 profiles. So now we can also just enable 2. And let's say these 2 or 101 should get the initial call, but if nobody's answering after 10 seconds, we want the other 2s to get the call. So this is how we would program it. We have signal phase 1, signal phase 2, and then we basically highlight the call profiles, we click set, and that's it. So after the first one has been tried, then number 2 and number 3 will be called. And that's, again, the whole magic, how to connect the Fanvil with the T26 door stations. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below or send me an email. Well, thank you so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day.